My name is Malik Foster. I am a co-host for the Counterpoise podcast.
Hey, everybody. I am Samantha Adams, and I am also one of the co-hosts for the Counterpoise podcast. Shout out to our good friend Everett, our third co-host. He's just not with us today. He will be back. And so today we have a great topic. Today we are talking about burnout. This is something that is not exclusive to any one person, any one group, anyone, anything. And we just wanted to discuss it because it's something that we all experience, especially now in like times like these where there's so much stuff going on. It's just important to remember that burnout is a real thing and we have to be mindful of it. And so we're just going to dive right in into getting into it. So most of the time when people think about burnout, they think about burnout from work, right? Like you get up every day, go to work, you're on this schedule. No matter how many hours you work, like if you work 80 hours a week, you're definitely going to get burnt out. And if you work 35 hours a week, depending on, how strenuous your job is and stressful it is, that's definitely going to cause some burnout as well. And when we talk about burnout, it's like the need for a break because you're just pushing, and it's starting to stress you to a point where you potentially can get sick, things like that. So first, we were going to talk a little bit more about some of the causes from professional burnout, and then we're going to get into some other things. So, Malik, do you have anything you want to add?
Oh, yes, I do. So when it comes to professional burnout, such as if you have a career, or even if you don't have a professional career, just a normal 9 to 5 job, it can be very stressful and taxing on you mentally, right? In some cases, if you're moving a lot of stuff around or doing any physical labor, it can be taxing on you physically as well. Very exhausting, right? If you're pulling long hours, like we're attorneys here, so we're pulling long hours, a lot of exhaustion, late nights, barely any sleep, very overworked. So I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
important to, acknowledge that you are experiencing burnout where, you're just going through the motions and you're not being as productive as you usually do. And you need to figure out some time to take mental breaks. Sometimes, you know, we underestimate, needing a break and needing to take some time due to the burnout from our work. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just some of the comments I wanted to have on it. Do you have any additional comments on?
Yeah, like burnout also comes from the monotony, right? There's nothing wrong with having structure and having a schedule, but just continuously doing the same thing over and over again, especially too when you don't see results from the things that you do. Everybody's job isn't like result oriented. Some of them is literally just trying to make sure everything gets. I mean, I guess it is a form of results, but they're not these like high achieving results, right? So, if you work in retail, there may be results as it relates to how many sales you made, how many transactions you did, things like that. If you work in food service, it may be what type of customer service that you provide to, the patrons of the establishment that you came to. When you're talking about business, right? There may be different matrix and goals and stuff that you have to reach. But sometimes it takes a really long time to get to those things and it can really, really wear on you. And, you know, we just have to be careful, right? Because, whatever affects the brain affects the body and vice versa. And so we just have to make sure that we're mindful of those types of things.
Yeah.
Um,
You brought up
and
something I wanted to touch on.
mhm.
You want to finish your point?
No, go right ahead.
Oh, I was thinking about like motivation, right? When you're in your professional career, for example, maybe it's not the career you want, right? Maybe you're not doing your purpose, right? You're not doing what you really want to do. Um, so you're lacking motivation at the job. You're not excited. You're not happy. So when you're waking up every morning or whatever time you have to go into work, um, that can cause you a lot of stress, right? Because you keep doing something over and over again, like Sam was saying, but you're not doing a repeated behavior that you enjoy, right? It's very annoying to you. It's irritating task, right? It's very tedious, right? So I think if you actually try to follow the path that will make you the happiest, I think that's what people should do when it comes to some of this burnout. But we'll talk more about solutions a little later on. But we were just talking about some of the ways, uh, professional burnout uh, causes people stress mentally and physically.
Right, right. And so with that being said, the reason why it's important because, we can see, most of us anyway, have had experiences where they've worked with people that have gotten sick, whether it be had a heart attack, a stroke, things like that. It affects all kinds of things. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I'm not going to say the name, but I did work for a Fortune 500 company once upon a time where they were really, really big on making sure you did certain things to help alleviate stress. Of course, you get time off and things like that, but even if that meant, especially when you're at a desk all day, right? Get up, move around. They gave us like ergonomic type exercises that we could do at our desk. Number one, to help our body, and also two, so we don't get like back strain and things like that. When you're sitting at a computer all day, you want to make sure Chino apparently has something to say. When you are at your desk all day on a computer all the time, it can affect your vision. You got to make sure you get your eyes checked. And then also too, you're sitting there at a desk all day eating horribly, right? And you're not really taking care of yourself. You have to make wise decisions about your own health when you have those types of situations going on. Which leads me into some of the personal burnout too, right? Personal burnout happens based on whatever we have going on in our personal lives. And for some people, it's a lot of stuff. Some people will literally ignore everything they have going on in their personal lives and just focus on their professional lives and still get burnt out. And vice versa. Some people don't have really stressful jobs, but they have a lot of stress in their personal life. For example, I have people in my family. I have a person in particular that I'm thinking of, she's got a lot going on. She works, she's a mother of 3, she has an autistic child. She's married, so she does a lot of things. She helps her mom with a lot of things. Like she does a lot of things, and that stuff can create stress, anxiety, and some more stuff. Just give me a second. Go ahead, Malik. Anything you want to add?
Yeah. So when it comes to the personal life, a little combination of personal and work life, right? So for example, sometimes family members may want you to do a different job than you want to do, or choose a different career path than you wanted to choose. So that could put a lot of stress and burnout on you, a lot of pressure, because that'll lead you to a path of you doing something that you may not want to do because of your family pressure, right? Since Sam brought up family. So family can be a real big pressure on you and cause you to burn out as well, especially if they're putting on stress on you on some things that you don't really want to do, but you want to make them happy, right? Especially if you're a people pleaser or something like that. A lot of people want to make their family happy, right? It's normal. So that can be one of the stresses that leads to burnout as well. Also, friends, right? Your peers, that peer pressure, right? Everybody knows about it. When there's peer pressure, that can lead you down to another path of doing things you don't want to do in order to make other people happy. So, those are some of the things as far as the family and friends that can cause you to burn out. So that's what I wanted to say on that front.
Also, when you have a lot to do, right? We all go through periods of our lives where we have a whole lot of stuff going on at one time. We're very busy. And sometimes it can be really stressful trying to figure out which task to conquer first. And that doesn't matter if that's professional or personal or both, you know. Um, like Malik stated earlier, we are lawyers here, but we also have this podcast. And sometimes it can be a lot to try to juggle all of it, but we try to make sure that we do our part and we help each other out and hold each other down whenever it gets to be a lot. You know what I mean? And so, also too, we just got to make sure that you monitor all that stuff, right? Because like Malik was saying, there are certain things that can create stress and burnout that we have absolutely zero control over. A lot of times we don't have any control over most of the things in our lives that can be problematic. We just can control how we deal with them. And when you're talking about things like family, like I said earlier, like the one person in particular, she has 3 children and one of them is autistic. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Trying to raise 3 kids, and one of them it has and is nonverbal, has all the kind of issues as it relates to his disability. And not only is that stressful as a parent, that's a lot of work, and just being pulled in so many different directions, including work. And then at work, you still got to do your work stuff and deal with the work stuff and deal with people at work and different personalities and all that. It's just a lot of things. And, it's easy to get burnt out by all that stuff. And, some of the ways that we think about handling these different types of burnout there are different solutions, right? Because like I said before, all this stuff has the ability to have. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wanted to jump in here.
Go right ahead.
Before we get into solutions of stuff, a little bit more about personal, like yourself, right? You can cause your own burnout. So what I mean by that is when you put so much pressure on yourself to achieve some of your goals, and you don't give yourself time to relax. You don't give yourself some time like vacation time, time to exercise. You're not taking good care of your health. That has an adverse effect on your body and your mental state, right? So it's very important to not put so much pressure on yourself. So that's one of the causes to yourself, right? You can put that pressure that leads to burnout on yourself. I know we talked about, your workplace, job, or business that you own, and we talked about friends and family, but the other person is yourself. So a lot of people need to realize that they're their own their own enemy when it comes to burnout, right? So it's something to be mindful about. But you can go ahead and get to the solutions. I just wanted to make that point.
Well, one of the things I wanted to add too is, sometimes circumstance, right? We all become, I'm going to say we all, but, a lot of times we become victims of our own circumstance. And it can be very difficult to find the different ways to be able to resolve some of the issues with burnout. You know what I'm saying? And so, for example, let's say, you got somebody that works and they have a part-time job, or they have 2 part-time jobs or whatever. They may not necessarily have the finances available to them to give them the opportunity to take that time out, but they know they have to just keep working. So they have to find other ways to manage and maintain that burnout and deal with whatever the problem is. So sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's this outside things, right? Like, so Malik was talking about, when you're talking about personal, a lot of times we talk about family, friends, things like that. But one of the other things that can also do it is social media, right? When we get on social media, we hop on there and we're scrolling, and you see one bad thing after another. Eventually, that's gonna have some sort of effect or impact on you, and that can burn you out. But social media is really interesting because social media also can be a solution. You see what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's a vice, like so people can escape from the reality of their world, and so they, go ahead and they hop on social media so they can look at, the land of make believe and the things that are going on there. Sometimes that stuff is make believe, sometimes it's not, because people got really going on in their lives. And so that's one of the things that's really interesting about social media when you're talking about burnout, because the just continuously being inundated with negativity can do a lot to a person's psyche, but so is continuously being inundated with positivity, right? It can make you feel lighter, happier, so social media is like has you stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because you there you can find things that will make you laugh for hours, things like that, but they can also you just see so much sadness and destruction. So, it's about having balance. I think that right there is one of the biggest things about it. And some of the other solutions is like you can take a mental health day if you have time from work, or you can afford to do it, whether it be one day. Some people take vacation time, like Malik said, they take a break. Some people go to therapy, exercise. Exercise is great because the thing about exercise is, not only, I know people hate exercising, but if you know all the benefits that come with exercise, it's not just how your body looks or making you healthy or whatever, but it also does a lot to stimulate your brain, and it releases certain
productivity as well. So
right, it does. And I remember when we were in law school, Malik, I once saw a news thing, something on the news where they said exercising can even help raise your GPA, because it relieves, you're not bogged down by certain things because you've worked out that excess stress at the gym.
Helps the memory retention, it helps a lot of things. So, exercise is very important. You don't want to be
on top of the fact that it helps keep you healthy.
Yeah, exactly. That too.
Yeah. So it just
stress.
Right. It just has so many, exercise has so many benefits. And of course, when you're exercising, you want to make sure you're eating right. That's why I was mentioning that earlier, because, they say you are what you eat, right? And so we have to maintain fairly healthy eating habits too, right? Because if you're not eating right and and you're getting sick, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, overweight, that's another stressor. You're worried about, oh my goodness, yeah, this might taste good, but is it gonna make my sugar go up? Or this might taste real good, but I bet you my blood pressure is gonna hit the roof. Or especially when people get older, they start getting gout and things like that. Like, how is food gonna affect you? As Black folks, we do have an fairly unhealthy relationship with food.
Exercise takes your mind away from the stress, right? Right.
Yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
give your mind a break, right? Everybody is well aware of like when their body breaks down, because you get tired, you feel your muscles sore. But sometimes, what I've learned throughout law school, sometimes your mind needs a break, where your mind's just always constantly thinking and going to work. Sometimes you just need to rest your brain. Like it needs to just stop thinking and stop stressing itself. Like it took me a while to actually be able to turn my brain off after law school, because you'll go to sleep,
right,
and then, or even if you're going through, it doesn't have to be law school, but it could be med school or anything that's stressing you out where you're always thinking about it, right? It took me a while to learn to actually turn my brain off to where I can go to sleep, right? Where you can just rest, where your brain is relaxing instead of like constantly thinking like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta remember this, I gotta do that. So
oh shoot, I forgot to do that. Dang, exactly. I need to call someone. Right.
So exactly. So that's underrated portion of exercising. At least it gets your mind off. it puts you in a state of tiredness sometimes, like, oh, I need to recover. So you can recover your body, recover your mind, and it helps take away that stress a little bit, right? So it's one of the things that help. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people are still stressed out, but it's one of the ways, one of the solutions to help your problems, as well as therapy, as Sam mentioned. Like counseling is very important. You could talk your issues out with people, whether you go to your church or you go to you use some hotlines or you pay a professional or you just talk to friends. You just have to have some sort of outlet to where you can voice your problems, and people can sympathize with you on your problems, so you can feel a little bit better about yourself. Because everybody needs assistance. Everybody could use uplifting and positivity from others, right? Because we're people, we're humans, and we're social creatures by nature. I know there's some people that are antisocial, but for the most part, people are social creatures, right? And everybody wants to, be acknowledged and, not stress as much. So that's one of the ways to help de-stress yourself, by actually talking it out with another party.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I know I do, my grandmother, God rest her soul, taught us about something called a me day, right? When you start feeling a little overwhelmed and things like that, take time, you go spend time with just you. Go shopping, maybe go get a massage. If you can't afford all that, just maybe pamper yourself at home. But you just take time to go do something for you. Maybe you go for a walk in the park, or you go watch a movie. You just do something that's dedicated just for you, and you do it for you. And it helps to give you a little bit of peace of mind, a little bit of a break in the midst of all the stuff that's going on around you. And also, too, there are other vices. Like, I was talking about social media earlier. You just have to be careful with different vices, though, because, people get addicted to certain vices like drinking, drugs, gambling, overeating. I know I'm a stress eater. So when I start getting too stressed, I have to go find something else to do because I want to just eat junk. So it's important to find something that you can find a healthy balance with. That's a vice. Exercising is also a really great vice. It's a great vice. Some people do yoga, meditation, prayer. There's just so many different things that we can do to help alleviate burnout. But taking a break is probably the best one. Taking a vacation, it's something where you break away from everything, even if, it can be a short break, but if you can get a few days to take advantage of that, you know what I mean? Because things can get, I know people hate taking breaks because number one, when you come back, there's more work than when you left, or it's like dumpster fire after dumpster fire that you have to put out, especially when you're talking about work, right? And so that right there can make it more difficult for people to want to take breaks. But, you only have one you, and you got to take care of you. And sometimes I have to remind myself and others that you're no good to anybody if you're not any good to yourself. So you just got to make sure that you do what you got to do to help, take good care of yourself. So, we didn't have too much other stuff. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that, Malik?
Yeah, I was going to add to the vices a little bit. I was going to say that, you definitely don't want to, indulge in the vices that Sam mentioned in order to, alleviate the burnout, because it's just going to be a detriment to your body and mental health as well. So you definitely don't want to do that. Drugs, alcohol, overdrink, over smoke, just doing too much of anything is a bad thing, right? Even exercise, you don't want to over exercise, hurt yourself. So doing too much of anything is a bad thing, and you definitely don't want to engage in illegal activity or anything like that. Definitely not going to promote that at all.
Absolutely.
So So you want to be mindful of that. Like you want to be mindful that you're not um, overeating or engaging in unhealthy things in order to compensate for the burnout that you're experiencing. You want that positive reinforcement, like we mentioned, therapy, exercising, not over exercising, talking to other people, whatever works for you. Maybe you had to write some stuff down in a journal or something. Whatever helps you to alleviate your stress, you want to make sure you do that. So that's what I wanted to say before we get into some other things here.
Yeah. Just be mindful of what you're doing. Just jumping into our final thoughts. Burnout is real and nobody is exempt. So finding a healthy balance, not just in your personal life, but in your professional life, but also with how you take care of yourself, right? It's like the yin and the yang of everything. And we really just have to make sure, in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle, that we make sure we take proper care of ourselves. Because professional burnout is very, very real, and so is personal burnout. It can trigger a lot of other issues, behavioral health issues, such as anxiety, depression, things like that. And so we just have to be really careful with that. And just finding that healthy balance is I think very necessary, especially when you start feeling yourself, to pay attention to yourself, listen to your body, because your body will tell you what it needs, especially when you start feeling like you're getting burnt out.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree. Sometimes you just need to take a break from what you're doing, like especially if it's not urgent. You definitely want to prioritize your items. That helps me prioritizing from highest priority to lowest priority. So that helps me. I use an app. Pomodoro techniques help. So you can be focused, and then you can even schedule downtime and leisure time. So, scheduling can definitely help you because it has helped me. So I just wanted to share that with the people. So you have any other final thoughts?
No.
So let's get into the Black business. I want to talk about the Black business of the month. It's the Mad Millionaire. She has a YouTube channel. She talks about, she's a Toro expert. She's also, she helps people with credit repair and talks about passive income ideas as well. She also has a Facebook group called the Global Wealth Network, which y'all can check out if y'all want to join that, be a part of that network with people, grow. They talk about business, other stuff like that in there. So if you're about wealth and trying to get into new businesses and passive income ideas, that might be a place for you to go and be a part of.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. We didn't talk about it last week, but I did want to make sure I talked about the book of the month. It's a book that I think everybody should read. It's called The Destruction of the Black Civilization, The Great Issues of Race from 4000 BC to 2000 AD. And it is by Chancellor Williams. This is what the book looks like. Can you see my screen, Malik?
Yes, I can see it.
And you see it's only $17 on Amazon. It's a really good book. They also, you can also listen to it on YouTube as an audio book. As an audio book on YouTube. Again, it's by Chancellor Williams. It goes all the way back to 4500 BC to 2000 AD. I highly, highly recommend it. I do. I absolutely recommend it. I've read it and I own it. So that's the book of the month. And then the last thing I wanted to make sure we touched on was our motivational minute quote of the week. It is about, it's some thought-provoking burnout quote where it says, being overwhelmed means that your life or work is overpowering you. Regain control by clarifying your intentions, setting realistic expectations, and focusing on your next step. And that was stated by Daphne Michaels. And that's the thing, a lot of times we can get anxious by the things that we have going on and just focusing on the very next thing that you have to take care of or help slow that process down, help to alleviate some of the being overwhelmed and getting burned out. So with that being said, guys, we appreciate you guys tapping in and tuning in. You'll see our socials coming up right at the end of this podcast. Make sure you tap in with us every Wednesday on What's Up Wednesday on Instagram, on our Kind of Voice page. And you can also like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and follow us also on social media. So thanks again. We love y'all. Peace.
Yeah, let me cue us up, cue the music here. Peace, guys.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend.
Right.